All right, I have a question for you. Have you ever thought about happiness? And did you ever think that if you, for example, secure distinction in your studies, that would make you really, really happy? Or if you find your perfect job, that would make you happy? Living in a big, luxurious house would make you happy? Or perhaps driving the new car would be the day for you? Or perhaps traveling in all those luxurious places as they show us on media? Well, you are not alone if you also thought the same, because I exactly thought the same as well. And I've always been quite curious about what makes us happy as people. That made me take this course, which Yale University was offering, about the art and science of happiness, in which Professor Laurie Santos talks about all things which happiness are. And actually, you can also check her website out. I'll put the link in the description below. The first thing which I really noticed in that course that how humans are terrible at predicting our own happiness. And actually that concept is called affect forecasting. In simple terms, this is our ability to predict how we'll feel in the future. And therefore, we always think about the future that, okay, if I get this, I would be happy. If I would get that, I would be happy. And while growing up, I always thought to myself, well, if I'm working hard, and I get a distinction in my class, or I get an A plus grade, I would be happy. Or perhaps when I would find my ideal job, I would be happy. And this whole phenomenon actually is referred to as hedonic treadmill, which means that just like the treadmill, when you're running in your life from one point to the other, you just keep on running without even reaching anywhere. And in your mind, you always think that, okay, my next point is going to make me really happy. But guess what? It does give you that momentarily happiness, and then again, you reach your normal happiness level, which normally you feel on a normal day. And this is why we always think about we would feel good if we get that. So every single time, if you think about yourself as well, we are attaching our future happiness with something else, mostly our external achievements. And so a few weeks ago, actually, I was talking to somebody and they got big promotion, which they've always worked for, dreamt for. And this person was supremely happy on that very day. But the next day I saw them and they were absolutely just normal. And actually, I would also give my example here. While working on my PhD, I thought to myself, well, the day I would get my PhD, I would be the happiest person in the entire world. So when I got to know that I've done all my work and now I'm being awarded for my PhD, I was super happy and emotional. The very next day, I asked myself, well, okay, I have a PhD. Now what? And so, why we're always wrong about what would make us happy? Research suggests that when we are trying to find happiness in very big moments in our lives, in the big milestones, big achievements, actually, happiness lies in very small moments in our daily lives. Could be spending time with your family, spending time with your friends, with your pets, doing things which really brings that joy in your life, perhaps doing a hobby, without getting the burden of achieving that one big thing which would make us happy. And also, if you think about that, putting all the expectations of happiness on that one big achievement can really put a lot of pressure on us as well. And so when the time comes to make us happy, we do feel that, but since we're expecting too much of happiness from ourselves, we get disappointed because in reality, it hasn't really fulfilled our expectations. So perhaps happiness is finding what makes us happy in those small moments. And actually, there's a lot of research which suggests that people find more happiness when they start doing these small things and not only rely on external material possessions or perhaps only on their careers. The course also emphasized on the importance of social connections. In this time and age when we are supremely busy and we are trying to achieve our personal goals, and we often forget the importance of our social connections, be it your family or friends. Because as humans, we are hardwired for connections. We are living in a society to live with people. So spending time with people who you really like can really also bring a lot of happiness and joy in your life. But of course, we underestimate that. And then the role of gratitude and positive psychology. Sometimes we do say that these things are kind of overrated, but once you start practicing gratitude in your life, you will see the difference. What I mean by gratitude is just being thankful for everything in our life. And of course, it's a concept, we all know it, but when it comes to practicing it, it can get sometimes a little tricky. And actually, it's just a shift in our mindset. Instead of focusing on what we don't have, we need to focus on what we already have. I have experienced that many times in my life, and this is the small things to be grateful for. So for example, if I tell you, you might even laugh. So the other day I was going to uni and I was running late for my class. By the time I reached the bus stop, I just saw the bus was there already. And that made me so happy. I felt grateful, and that really made my day. And stress being the biggest part of our lives these days, the practice of gratitude can really help us reduce the level of stresses. And actually, there's a lot of research to prove that too. People who acknowledge things around them are far more likely less stressed than the people who don't. So basically, it's about looking at glass half full than half empty. And finally, what really can bring us happiness is doing something nice or kind for somebody else. Of course, we all are doing things for ourselves, but do think about any day when you try to help somebody else, the kind of happiness and joy that brings to you is unmatchable. I have experienced that and I hope you would too. And of course, when I say do nice for somebody else, I don't mean to do something big. It could be a very small gesture as well. You could help an animal, you could help somebody you know, and actually these days in social media, we can all help each other in some way or the other. And actually recently, I have been getting into the habits of growing plants, and that brings me so much happiness that I can't even tell you. So finally, what can really make us happy is focusing on our relationships, practicing gratitude, being thankful for the things we have instead of focusing on what we don't, and finally, doing something kind for somebody else. And it could be a very small thing. By doing that kind action to somebody else, you're not only making them happy, but in return, you're also receiving happiness. I hope this video made you happy because you know what? Certainly, it did make me happy. Take care until next video. Bye.